911 emergency.
Oh my god, you guys. Jesus Christ. That trailer just blew me away. It's incredible. And yeah, Jesus. I'm lost for words, really. This looks so promising. I've been wanting a new game like SWAT 4 for so long. So long. And this game looks like it might deliver that same kind of experience. And if you look at the bottom here in this GIF image, you can see right here somebody's being arrested. There's incremental door lean or incremental door opening. There's incremental leaning as well. People die really quickly. There's attention to detail. The graphics look bloody amazing. And holy hell, man. There's not a whole lot of information out yet, but there is some. There is the first dev blog, which we will read in just a bit, and we have a little overview of features as well. So they promise strategic planning. Our planning phase allows players to plan their entry strategy and unit loadouts with a wide array of choices, such as ammunition types, extra equipment, and entry points. That is really cool. I really dig the extra entry points. And somewhere along the way I read something about deployable ladders as well. Oh yeah, there it is right there. Deployable ladders. And that leads me to believe you can create your own entry points. And that is something that's bloody amazing, because SWAT 4 is a really good game, but it generally only allows you 2 choices. And it's strict, you know, you have to pick one of those and there's no other way to go about it. But this game, actually, like, by the sounds of it, this is just my interpretation of things, mind you, but with deployable ladders, that means to me that you could start outside of a building, look at a random window somewhere up the wall, and just look at that and say, yeah, that's where I want to go in. And then you deploy your ladder and you go in. That looks great. Then we have multiplayer. Bring order to chaos with up to 8 friends in co-op, or battle other SWAT units in a frantic, competitive multiplayer environment. The frantic part doesn't quite appeal to me, like that seems a little bit, yeah, you know. I'm really hoping for a very single player focused game, as well as a really deep co-op experience. And yeah, good multiplayer is just like the cherry on top of that pie, you know. It's good to have, it's really nice, for sure, but I really do hope that the pace of it isn't going to be frantic, but a little bit more toned down, you know, similar to Squad. Something like that. Squad certainly has its frantic moments, but it's usually in decision making, enemies being all over the place, and not so much, you know, the twitchy gameplay. But when you look at player dynamics, it says smoothly modulate speed or control doors via scroll wheel. Total control also allows players to incrementally lean in any direction, and you can see that right here. And this reminds me very much of Arma 3. And if you've played that game, I mean, that is such an awesome system, and I miss it in every other tactical shooter since I've played that game. It is just so good when you have so many different variations of leaning and general stances as well. Because, well, you know, game worlds are not made up of 3 different heights, you know, for standing, prone, or crouching. So there's all kinds of cover and all kinds of things that you might want to hide behind, and just having standing and crouching and prone might not cut it. You know, you might overexpose yourself, you might not just be, or you might not be able to see quite enough, and that is just, you know, this is the way forward for shooters as far as I'm concerned, and Arma 3 handles it so gracefully as well, because all you have to do is hold down the control key and then you use W, A, S, and D to, you know, move in whatever direction you want your stance to go up or down in. And I hope it's going to be as fluid. But as I say, they say you're using the scroll wheel, but you can, you know, go up and down and left and right. So I'm not entirely sure how you do the dynamic leaning with the scroll wheel, but, you know, we'll see. Then we have over 30 unique items, not just weapons, but flashbangs, snake cams, deployable ladders. Players are provided with the freedom to fulfill their tactical plan. I mean, that looks so good. And I see a door wedge in there, and the door wedges are probably one of my favorite things from SWAT 4, is just blocking off doors, making sure that no suspect can use them, and it's so good. Now we have player customization. Control your officer's appearance with a wide selection of looks. Import custom team patches and name tags. Well, yeah, it's nice to have. Player customization is neat, but up to a certain point. You know, if you're going for a realistic and authentic game, then you need to stick with uniforms and, you know, a uniform look. You know, a generalized, standardized loadout, or, you know, a uniform for your team. So, you know, a wide selection of looks. You know, I really hope that in co-op and multiplayer, at least, everybody will basically look the same, and not just like a group of random people. You know, they need to look like a unit. And these guys, so far, you know, they look like a unit. They can kind of like mix and match that way. That seems okay. But the custom team patches and name tags, that is really cool. That is something that is really nice. That is something that is in Ground Branch as well, where you can get your team patches on both your left arm and your right arm. You can have like your country flag, unit patch, things like that. And then they have your name tag on the back of your tactical vest as well. That's really cool. And then finally, in this little list at least, is the less than lethal alternatives. Engage in combat with an arsenal of non-deadly weapons, including pepper guns, tasers, pepper spray, and beanbag shotguns. So this game should be more like SWAT 4, in that you have plenty of less than lethal options, and you want to take everybody alive. Or as many as you can alive, at least. That is really, really damn cool. But let's have a look at the dev blog as well. So, Ready or Not is a tactical first-person shooter which places you in the boots of an elite SWAT team, tasked with diffusing hostile situations in intense, claustrophobic environments. It's set in a nondescript modern America, where an income disparity between the classes have become unsustainable, and the country has been plunged into havoc. Bring order to chaos with up to 8 players in cooperative play, battle enemy squads in close player versus player environments, or command AI in a striking single-player mode. And striking it is indeed, because if you looked at the if you looked at the trailer at the start of this video, I mean, there were some really dark images there. You know, there was a guy gurgling to death, you know, choking to death in his own blood. There was naked people, basically, you know, human trafficking. You know, the darkest places that humanity can go was kind of represented in that game, and that has me very excited, because ever since Red Orchestra 2, Heroes of Stalingrad, you know, and its excellent death screams, I have been wanting a game that that is focusing more on the human aspect. You know, where NPCs are not just that. They're not just NPCs. You know, they represent human beings with feelings and a background and a history, and they can suffer, you know, and that is something that you don't see in video games, because video games are supposed to be, you know, quote unquote, fun. You know, my idea of fun consists of something else, maybe than your general idea of fun. You know, I like the more serious approaches, and the first time I heard the death screams in Red Orchestra 2, it blew me away. I mean, here was a game I was having fun, you know. I was moving through the environment, you know, getting shot at from left and right, and there's so much chaos going on. And, you know, I felt generally immersed by this experience because the sound was pretty good, you know, and it felt good and everything felt pretty immersive. But then one of these guys close to me died, and he started crying for his mother in a really convincing way. And Jesus Christ, that was when it hit home for me. It's like, oh man, I'm playing at war. I'm playing at something that is real and horrible, and I'm having fun with it, you know. And you can definitely still have fun, and that, you know, Red Orchestra 2 still was fun, but I'd love to see a game take it into a more serious and deeper and more respectful direction as well, because that's another concern, right? When you see really deep gore, it's usually an over-the-top game. It's, you know, Serious Sam like stuff, you know, Painkiller. It's not the serious stuff, and that is also supposed to be fun. Even like games like Soldier of Fortune, they are, you know, they're not realistic games. They have realistic gore, but the way they make you feel about it is more, you know, less shocked, or maybe, you know, the first time you see it is shock, but it's not really, it doesn't last very long, and eventually you start playing with it, you know, you start going for the most gruesome kills possible, because that's the kind of fun you're getting from that game. But I love to see a game like Red Orchestra 2, where if you shoot someone, you actually kind of feel bad for doing that, you know? And that was definitely my experience with Red Orchestra 2 the first time I played. You know, like, I remember very clearly, and I think I talked about this before as well, when I was in a train station with an old bolt-action rifle, you know, and I was severely outnumbered and definitely outgunned, because, you know, I had only 5 shots, and I need to cycle the bolt after every shot, and meanwhile I have Germans in front of me that have SMGs, you know, like MP40s and semi-automatic rifles and things like that, and I only need to miss 1 shot and I'm dead, you know, and they have plenty of shots to kill me. But I made my way through that building. I shot 5 guys, you know, with a single clip, then I reloaded, I shot a few more, I emptied my gun, then I charged 2 Germans with my bayonet, and I killed them both as well. And I have no idea how I managed to pull that off, but I felt really good about it, because, you know, it was an epic killing spree. And games teach us, you know, we feel really excited about that. But then that last guy, he slumped up against the wall, and he started crying for his mother. And, you know, he was crying in German, but being Dutch, I understand quite a bit of German. I understood exactly what he was saying as he lay dying there, and it affected me, you know. It was so convincingly acted that for a moment there I felt like I was there, and I felt sympathy for the guy, and I felt bad for his mother, you know, like, what have I done? And then of course I went back to playing the game and having fun, but it made me think, you know, and there needs to be more awareness in video games, and this definitely looks like it's going in that direction, you know. It's going in the direction that I want. Not just the screams, but animation-wise as well, you know, like that guy, that I think he got shot in the throat or in the stomach or something, and he was just lying there gurgling and spitting up blood. There's a little bit of that in Red Orchestra 2 as well, but not nearly enough, and there's only like 2 animations, and they happen very infrequently, you know, they're very rare, so you're quite lucky if you catch them. But this, I really hope that like every kill has something leading up to that kind of an animation, you know, because actually, as great as ragdolls are, I kind of miss like the animations from Rainbow Six Rogue Spear as well. They still look so smooth, but they always made it really interesting to watch, you know, because they were very location specific. So if you shot someone in the leg, they had a specific dying animation for that, you know, when like he would grab his leg, fall down, and then kind of bleed out on the floor, you know. And if you shot him in the shoulder, he would kind of like twist around and, you know, like kind of make like a pirouette before falling down. If you shot someone in the stomach, he'd fall on his ass and just kind of look at the wound in his stomach and then just fall over backwards, you know. If you shot him from the back and you shot him through the neck, he would just kind of like fall on his knees and then land on his stomach and his chin in such an awkward angle that only a dead person would only be in, you know. And I really hope they have that sort of animations for this as well, and then, you know, those animations should eventually lead over into ragdolls and things like that, so they still roll downstairs and things like that. But yeah, lots of talking. Let's let's move on to the other stuff. Has been in development since June 2016 and includes an array of unique features. Today we're going to run through some of the already included features we're most excited about. So they have the incremental lean system. I already talked about this. It's kind of like the same thing that we have in Armor 3, which I am really excited about. This is really cool. So let's see. Our most prominent feature involves the player's ability to maneuver around obstacles, opening up infinite possibilities regarding tactical positions. Players can duck under low cover to avoid incoming fire, or peek above high cover in order to spot and return fire upon the enemy. The assigned keys can be tapped in any order to peek. On top of this, we have also included a classic quick lean system seen in many shooters. Very good. The quick lean is definitely needed because sometimes, you don't have the time to muck about with the more incremental leaning. At the same time, we get an incremental door control system. So this gameplay feature allows for doors of multiple types, such as sliding, swinging, and revolving doors. Ooh, that is interesting. To be manipulated by the mouse wheel at any time. Provided the door is unlocked, players can interact and incrementally move them. Sliding doors, swinging doors, those are the most common ones, but revolving doors I've actually never really seen in video games, or at least I've seen them, but they were never really working. So working revolving doors, that's really cool, and that also leads me to believe that we can get some mall map. That could be cool. Also, modular speed control. Our final mouse wheel based feature involves the control of the player's speed by scrolling up or down. This allows for precise movement in a close quarters environment, which may mean the difference between life and death in a hostile situation. This of course can be rebound to suit our users' needs. Really, really cool. That is kind of like how Hidden and Dangerous 2 does it as well. Hidden and Dangerous 2 had like 4 stances. Like you'd have sneak, walk, jog and sprint, and you would switch between those with the mouse wheel. And it worked really, really well. Of course, more recent games like Splinter Cell also had this system. Or some of them at least. I'm not sure about the newer ones. Let's see. Simulated and detailed third-person inventory. In a real-life situation, each item has its place in a loadout. We wanted to ensure this level of replication, so we included detailed animations and systems which show your teammates exactly what you're doing. Magazines, grenades and items are retrieved and returned to their specific pouches, with the pouch flaps opening and closing in synchronicity with the player's reload or draw respectively. That is really damn cool. That is some attention to detail right there that one might not see right off the bat, but that is pretty damn awesome. Also, convex collision armor. Well, convex collision doesn't really mean anything for me. Let's see what it does, allowing for precise protection. Armor collision in ready or not is calculated based on the mesh coverage on the player, allowing for accurate levels of realistic ballistic protection. That is cool. The more precise the hitboxes are, the better it will be. Projectile dynamics. Bullets penetrate, ricochet and deteriorate. Rounds have realistic range, drag and tumble velocity. Calibers and ammunition types affect how far and how well a projectile penetrates and exits. All rounds have the ability to ricochet based on surface materials and angle of impact, and deflection has recently been included as a feature. Less than lethal rounds will be unlikely to penetrate, but can sometimes still kill depending on proximity and impact area. That is really cool as well, and this is something that the Elite Force mod for SWAT has recently done, or added as well. Because in SWAT 4, you had a beanbag shotgun and you could use it. Point blank, no problem, but if you shoot someone in the head at point blank in the Elite Force mod, you can be damn sure he's going to die. Or he's going to be incapacitated at the very least, but he's not going to be a healthy person anymore. So I'm really happy to see that stuff in this game as well. And then we have responsive damage system and effects. If a player is shot in the legs, movement is slowed down based on the level of damage. Arm damage will decrease accuracy and increase draw times. Awesome. Head damage, provided it is survived, can intermittently haze the player's vision. Good. Because, it is definitely possible for like a graze. Or, like they talk about deflection. So I guess, if you wear a helmet at a certain angle, I don't know. Maybe, I'm not sure how realistic that is, but maybe a bullet could be deflected that way and then this is going to haze the player's vision from the shock. There's videos, at least, of people in Afghanistan getting shot in the helmet by snipers and surviving. So I guess it depends on distance, but I have no real world experience with this, so this is all shown via a passive, read, hidden unless needed indicator at the bottom of the screen. Alright, that is pretty cool. It's nice to have the ability to find like the indicators and things like that if you need it, because no HUD can be really cool, but it can also be very restrictive if you have no proper way of still getting that sort of information. So I'm okay, or actually I'm quite good with indicators being able to be called up. Right, so on to one of the more exciting features for me as well, visceral gore. Deaths need to be impactful to the end user, and we're committed to providing an experience like no other. If characters in the game are hit, parallax bullet holes spawn on flesh, and blood will then seep out into surrounding fabrics. A gory bullet hole also becomes an emitter, as individuals who knock their wounds onto objects create a small splatter based on bone velocity. In the future, we plan to implement an entire bodily destruction system. That was really cool. I really appreciate that. I always love seeing bullet holes on characters in games, and especially if they stick around forever. So if you do add this, guys, make sure it sticks. Alright. Also, yeah, the entire bodily destruction system sounds cool. I guess that means that if you use a shotgun on a leg, it might come off, or it might come off after a few shots. I don't know how deep they're going to go with that. I'm mostly more interested in proper animations for all of this though, like the death animations would be really cool to see. I really hope they go full throttle on that stuff. You know, just go all out, balls to the wall on animations for deaths, and then add the bodily destruction system and the bullet holes and things like that. That is really cool. That would be perfect. Then we go to highly detailed weapons, characters, and environments. As seen in our gallery and teaser, Ready or Not's assets aren't camera shy. A realistic and high detail representation of all assets is necessary in immersing the player in our world. Weapon edges are smooth and seamless. Environmental detail is minute. Yeah, okay. Good graphics are good. You know, I can't complain about that. Really, really important for some people. I can deal with subpar graphics if the gameplay is really cool and the gore and animations and things like that. You know what I mean? Rogue Spear, like Rainbow Six Rogue Spear, still looks really cool to me. You know, the textures, of course, are fucking horrible, but the animations are so smooth that it still looks good. You know, like I enjoy watching that game moving around. Alright, massive selection of items. As of pre-alpha, we currently have over 30 plus items in total, with plans to greatly expand this selection monthly. Concerns may arise over balance issues, but each item will have its place and value considered in order to avoid having duplicate functioning but visually different gear. These items include weapons, devices, grenades, and deployable items. Read, items that can be selected in our planning phase. Oh, okay, so the deployable ladders should be put down in the planning phase then. So it's not a dynamic thing, like something that happens during the game itself. As you know, that's the way I understand this right now. Actually, I'm still very good with that. I'm still okay with that. That is really cool. Fully supported competitive servers based on Amazon GameLift API. Ready or Not features a fully competitive set of game modes to test your mettle against other squads in PvP. However, players can still host listen servers and play with custom game rules. Okay. Like I said, I'm mostly interested in this for the single player and co-op experience, and multiplayer, while cool, is not really on the highest list, or not the highest on my list of priorities. Alright, so plans to support squad competitive play. Create a squad with up to 10 friends for PvP and co-op. Work as small groups to reap squad rewards. Interesting. And compete in yearly leaderboard competitions to earn unique skins. That could be pretty cool. A passive point score system allows players to work together to level and earn more squad points, opening up options in the mission's planning phase. Yeah. I'm not sure how to feel about that one. I'm not a big fan of arbitrary experience point systems in video games. I mean, it makes sense in role-playing games, but in a shooter or, strategy games, I really don't like to see that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm okay with it if it's cosmetic. If it's cosmetic only, that's fine. you can unlock, you know, unique skins. That is cool with me. But opening options in a missions planning phase, I mean, that sounds like you would have to unlock the ladder with some pointless experience bar, and not so happy about that. But you know, eventually you're going to have run through the entire experience. Like you're going to have leveled up maximum, you know, all the way to the max level, and at that point it doesn't really matter anymore. At that point you have all of the options, but it's just an initial hurdle that you have to go through, and it's not really necessary, you know. It's kind of, yeah, I don't know. It just it doesn't excite me. Some people really like having a progression system, something to work towards, but for me the gameplay itself is the end goal, and on the whole, you know, unlock systems feel like they're just being added to keep people interested as like a carrot on a stick mechanic, you know, like our gameplay isn't deep enough to keep you interested without the carrot on the stick. But from the sound of this, you know, this game doesn't sound like it's going to be like that, you know, like Battlefield and Call of Duty is like that. But this game, you know, I still have hope. They can make it work maybe, but I would prefer not to. And let's see, final thing, tactical analysis. All missions begin with a tactical analysis and planning phase, currently allowing teams to shut off power grids, blockade entrances, create or choose new entry points, and spawn unique devices including ballistic shields, heavy rams, and telescopic ladders. Oh my god. So much stuff. Allowing teams to shut off power grids? That is awesome. Blockade entrances? Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, that kind of reminds me of Rainbow Six Siege, which I haven't played. Like, I've seen enough gameplay footage of that game to know it's not my cup of tea anymore. But that could be cool, you know, in fact, that's especially in multiplayer, blockading entrances, you know, versus, you know, team versus team, squad versus squad. You know, I like the gameplay possibilities that Rainbow Six Siege has added in that way, you know, like barricading things, like blowing walls in, or holes in walls. That is all really cool, but then the end gameplay is just too fast-paced and arcadey to really make up for that, you know. Anyway, so that is really cool to see in this game. Create or choose new entry points. That sounds like you can blow holes in walls as well. Again, my interpretation might not be true. And spawn unique devices, including the ballistic shields. The ballistic shields are cool as well. Oh man, this game has me very excited. But yeah, not a whole lot else to go on for now. Just the teaser trailer and this bit of information, and then the front page, which we saw here, the features and things like that. But man, am I excited for this game. I mean, I also really like, you know, this little animated GIF stuff. You know, you can see some of the more slow-paced stuff, you know, the slowly opening of doors, the slow leaning, all that stuff is really cool. So, yeah, what do you guys think about this game? Looks promising, right? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys for whatever video I do next.